I'm live. Am I live? I think I'm live. How about this? All right, it says 9:58. I'm going to kind of start the day on a Viking note. Is everybody ready? Uh, you just have to love Vikings. Well, here we are. And I can't begin to tell you how funny it all is that it took a computer shutdown, crash, bang, and a Facebook restriction. What? To get me here, to get us here, and I'm just beyond excited. And I'm kind of stalling a little bit because I don't really know. I did a little test yesterday, and it sounded great. It sounded great, and it looked great. And I said to myself, what have I been doing? Why have I waited so long? So here we are. We're on YouTube, and we're on YouTube Live, which means anybody anywhere can see us. And we're going to talk about something interesting today. Uh, right after I explain why it took me so long to get here. So here's the thing. I'm not good. My name is Abby Hagyard, and I fell sideways into show business because it seemed like a wonderful idea at the time. And people kept saying, and we'll pay you money and everybody will see you. And I kept thinking, there's got to be something wrong with this. I mean, everybody will see me and I'll get to look all glamorous and they'll pay me actual money. And then I discovered that, no, you don't get to look glamorous all the time. In fact, a lot of the time, people hired me to look not glamorous remotely. And that became the surprise element for me with regard to fame. Because I think, like everybody else, I had an idea that fame meant this specific magical thing, and I I would look wonderful, and everybody would smile and wave and greet me because of who I had become, and that's not what happens at all. It does not what happens at all, and I think what we need to do is to, in order to be happy, in order to enjoy ourselves, we need to kind of define our terms. We need to look things up. We need to figure out if we're facing the right way. Otherwise, we're in for a life of bitter disappointment and shock and awe, which is essentially the subtitle of the story of my life. Shock and awe. So here's the thing. I had this brilliant idea. A long time ago, I started writing books because I like books. I read and I love kind of disappearing from the world into magical different worlds and completely shutting out all the things that had bothered me. And books for a long time did that for me. And then I realized that something really important about books was that they offered an interrupt. Not a disrupt, not a disconnect, but a pause, an interlude. You could step away from the chaos and wander off into distant lands and mystical situations and fall in love with characters and hate the others and just go there for a while. And then kind of wake up and realize that you had things to do and put the book down and give it a little pat because you could come back. And it took me a very long time to realize that one of the reasons that I loved this is that, I have Viking ancestry. And it's one of the reasons that I make a lot of references to Vikings. And I discovered that Vikings were storytellers. They were storytellers because they didn't have a written language for a very long time. They were intelligent, they were sophisticated, they were creative, artistic, fierce fighters, really, really clever inventors and innovators, but they didn't have a written language. They made marks on things. They created branding. They found a way to be distinctive and recognizable without writing anything down. So the storyteller became the person whose talent was what allowed the legends to live on. It was what allowed us to have heroes and learn lessons without having to go through it ourselves. Because if you listened to the storyteller, if you believed what they were saying, then you could say that's a stupid place to walk, because every time somebody walks there, bad things happen. So stories became for me a magical thing. It's like a wand. And then when I started studying theater, I learned something really important, and that is that characters drive the story. Nothing happens if people aren't making them happen, if people aren't causing something to happen. And that meant that who we are when we walk into the story, when we take our place in what's going on, we are part of a kind of a ripple effect that is felt by people way outside of our realm, way outside of, beyond our distance, around corners, on the other side of the horizon. We have no idea how far the ripples go. And, one of the illustrations of that is messages in bottles that end up on distant shores. That's a ripple effect. So I got very interested in show business, and I got very interested in what it would be like to be a storyteller and what it would be like to have people say, oh, there she is. What I didn't understand at the time is that fame also creates limits. Once you're known for one thing, it's very difficult to become something else. And along the way, I was very lucky. I stumbled on some amazing people who said, have you ever thought of doing this? Why, no, I hadn't. And so I gave things a try. And the next thing I knew, I was on television. The next thing I knew, I was on radio. The next thing I knew, I was on stage. The next thing I knew, I was learning to drive transport trucks, and decided, no, that's a serious mistake. Because people kept saying, have you ever considered? And I said, well, no, I've never not considered. And one of the amazing accidental things that happened because of people I know and love was I ended up playing a mother on television. I ended up being Nickelodeon's #1 mom on You Can't Have It on Television. And I have no maternal instincts. I have no children of my own. I have no idea what it is mothers are supposed to do, because my own mother was sublimely unfit to be considered domestic in any way, shape, or form. So I didn't have a blueprint or a template. So I kind of made it up as I went along. And one of the byproducts of that show, aside from fame worldwide, was meeting all these kids who were being who they are, thanks to their wonderful drama coach, Carol Hay. And kids around the world identified with them because they were just being who they are. And the writers of the show were brilliant at coming up with all kinds of crazy ways for them to be just who they are in ridiculous situations. And the mom and the dad on the show, the adults on the show, were basically the broken, battered, confused, should not be left to their own devices, guideposts for them. And many years after the show ended, I had this idea. And I reached out to some of the kids and some of my other friends in show business. And I said, I want to talk about fame. And they said, oh, good idea. And so I interviewed them. And the outcome of those interviews was this fabulous book, Fame. And on the back of the book, there's the pictures of everybody that I interviewed for it. And this is, by the way, on Amazon. Not that I'm pushing, you understand? The most fascinating thing about the interviews that I did with these guys, these wonderful people, and it's a great book for a lot of reasons, but one is there's all these fabulous pictures of all of my lovely kids and creatures and crazy events and things. Can you see that they did? How wonderful they all are. They're all in there. And one of the most interesting outcomes of this interview process was that I accidentally said to the first person I was interviewing, "What's your definition of fame?" Just kind of off the top. And oh, by the way, I'm talking to them and they're grown up now. Last time I'd worked with them, they were like 15, right? And now they're 30 or 40. It's very strange. And they're all calling me mom, which is kind of fun. And when I said to them, "What's your definition of fame?" I got a different answer from every single one of them. And not only did I get a different answer from every single one of them, but every answer was fascinating. Every answer was a different perspective. Like, you imagine this huge house, and it's let's say it's round, and there's all these windows in this house. And it was like every one of them was looking out a different window, just maybe a few feet over, but a different window gave them just a slightly different perspective on the thing we were all looking at the thing we were all part of, at the thing we were all doing and creating and enabling. All of them saw something slightly different. And their answers were so clever, so interesting, that I was blown away. Not because I didn't think they were clever, not because I didn't think they weren't creative and crazy and wonderful, but it had never occurred to me that something that I just automatically thought was this could be seen so many different ways. And in fact, at the beginning of the book, what I say is what I said in the description here, if I did it right. It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and nobody knows how it works. Nobody. Because if somebody knew, oh my God, they could control everything. They could run everything. But no one is ever entirely sure that a thing is going to work, that it's going to be popular, that people are going to say, "Oh, does that come in blue? Does it come in a size medium?" Everybody has a totally different take on it. And there are downsides as well. There are downsides. And three downsides that pop into my head immediately. One is that it doesn't last. Why not? Because nothing stays at the apex for long. Everything is in constant flux. Everything is changing. So that's why they say 15 minutes of fame. It doesn't mean 15 minutes. It means it's not forever. Things evolve. When you think of Elvis Presley and you think of him as a young man, you think of the movie they've just done. You think of this wide-eyed, innocent guy, and you think of his background, his roots, his connection to, the church and the rapture, and you see all of a sudden the impact he has on people that is totally different from anyone else. That was him in the early years. You look at him in his later years and you see somebody for whom fame has changed everything. He can't go anywhere. He can't be alone because there's too many people that he has to be protected from. One of my kids said, "Fame puts you on a pedestal and people don't see you as entirely real. And you can't ever be just an average Joe again, because people say, oh, look, there he is. Oh, look, there she is. You can't just go out of the house dressed like, oh, dear God, do I really look like that, to go and do the laundry at the laundromat without people following you to take your picture. That's if you're really famous." And so people don't really think about that going in. They just think, well, we're going to do this. And wouldn't it be fun if everybody knows and if I make more money and all that kind of stuff? So that first thing is that you can't ever be unfamous. Again, you can be a has-been, as one of my kids says, but you can never be unfamous. So people don't always know that. Another thing that is difficult about fame is that people forget what it's like to just be themselves. You know, I get spoken to by people who watch me on television. I was on Nickelodeon, on You Can't Fit on Television, Care Bears, a bunch of other stuff. People say, oh my gosh, I'd love to talk to you about this. I'm also a military brat. Every military brat around the world and I have something in common. And that is, we are global gypsies. We never know how long we're going to be anywhere. We travel to different countries. We are standard bearers for the country we represent, the work our parents do. We don't get a choice in a lot of cases. You come home from school on a Thursday and there's boxes in the living room, and apparently we're going someplace else so soon that you're not going to be in the school play next month. I have that in common with more people than ever saw me on television, who ever heard of me. I have that in common with people who grew up and decided to join the military because it was what their families did and they didn't know anything else. So, and I can spot another military brat. In case any of you are watching, I'm going to say two things and you'll nod and smile and laugh and say, yeah, that's for sure. So here they are. You know what they are? Military brats can't tell the difference between forever and 4:30. And the other thing is, we're never entirely sure where our current house is because we've lived in so many. And there's a reason we can't do that, and I'll get into that later on. So I'm famous for that. And I have decided that because I'm so proud of my ancestry and my parents and my DNA, I'm proud to say that I have Vikings in my blood. I believe that if you're not going to row, get out of the boat, get out of the way. If you don't want to be in it to win it, then there's a spot on the dock waiting for you. Because life as a Viking isn't a spectator sport. Once you're in the boat, it's not a cruise. We all have a job to do and a role to play. So there's fame in so many ways. What's really important, I think, for all of us right now, in the wake of a 2-year stop, in the wake of a 2-year hit the wall and go into suspended animation in a lot of ways. And that is, we get to choose what we're famous for as we move forward. We can be known for what we did, and then we can also be known for what we're doing now. And that aha moment for me came a couple of years ago, in fact, when I was trying to work on a project. And I realized that with the lockdowns and the health issues and the concerns and the limitations on travel, that I was going to have to find a different way to complete my project. And so I've been working on that. And when I was talking about that to some friends of mine, I said, Vikings invented pivoting, you know. We invented a lot of things, but we certainly invented pivoting. When one thing doesn't work, you can stand there and wait for the tide to come in and wash you out to sea, or you can find another way. You can do it differently. You can look at what you have and where you want to take it. And you can say, all right, I'm doing it this way, but I can also do it that way. So I was talking to some friends a couple of months ago, and I said, it's almost an art form when you do it well. It's like it's not a pivot, it's pivotry. And a very clever marketing friend of mine said, that's an interesting word. And I said, yeah, maybe I should write it down so I don't forget it. So what has evolved out of this interesting couple of years is my decision to visit this project again. Only it's not about fame. It's about flexibility. It's about versatility. It's about willingness to adapt, to be resilient, to own where we are, to own this right now, to own my little office, to own my opportunities to write when I can't perform live, to do video when I can't go and do a live show or meet you for coffee. There are other ways we can become known for who we are and what we do, and how others see us and how others gravitate to us. We can shift. We can flip the script and rewrite it. One of the reasons that is so important is because many of us live according to a script that really doesn't feel comfortable. And we do it for a long time. And we say to ourselves things like, well, it could be worse. It's not that bad. It's fine. I'm okay. And every time I hear someone say that, I say, but why should you have to? Why should you have to put up with it if you don't like it, if it's uncomfortable, if your comfort zone has become your discomfort zone? Why stay? Why stay stuck? And a very wise friend said to me, well, the status quo is called the status quo because people feel safe. And I said, well, but if you're not happy, what's the point? What's the point of feeling safe if you're miserable? What's the point if all you do every day is walk around like your tie is caught in your zipper? Why? And my wise friend said, because the unknown is scary. Change makes us feel stupid and uncertain. And I said, it doesn't make me feel uncertain. And my wise friend said, yes, it does. You don't like change imposed on you. You like to change. Change isn't hard when it's our idea. When we decide to dye our hair green, we think it's fabulous. When we show up the next day and everybody goes, what have you done? See, they didn't see that coming and they don't like it. They have to get used to it. They have to work their way into saying, actually, the green is, I might do mine. Because innately, this is the other thing that I've discovered about us people, thee and me. We are more talented and more resilient and more courageous than mere survival. We actually have an appetite to thrive. not to do the same and keep the same, always the same, but to do better, to do different, to try something new. I had never played a mother ever in my life. I had played the angel of the Lord in the Christmas play. I played a raindrop. I played a pioneer. I played endless number of ingenues. I had never played a mother until someone said, well, it pays well. And who's going to see it? And I said, oh, well, there's a point. And so I took the job and I did the best I could. And the writers laughed and the producer laughed and the kids laughed and everyone laughed. And I said, okay, then I'm bringing laughter to people's lives. Things could be worse. I hadn't counted on the show going viral all over the world. I hadn't counted on looking the way my mom character looked to everyone on the planet forever and ever. And for a little while, I was upset about that because at the time I was fairly cute when I wasn't in that costume. And then as I got okay with it, as I got comfortable with it, as I sat back and thought, yeah, but look at the ripple effect. Look at the fun we're having. Look at the things the kids get to do. And look at the letters from the fans who are saying how much it means to them. All things considered, it's not that bad. And you know what? At the end of the day, I can take that costume off and then walk around looking like me. Will the entire world see me like this? No, they'll see me like that. But it doesn't matter. Because one day, I said, back in the midst of time, they'll meet me and they'll say, oh, well, I didn't see that coming. And I'll say, good. My Viking roots are showing. And it gives us a whole new thing to talk about at every live show. I posted for this particular video. The thumbnail is a collage of images at the most recent live fan event. And it's just one of several. All the people having a lot of fun, hugging and signing things for me, and our brilliant photographer in the corner taking all the pictures. Because I want everyone who comes into my world with me to understand what it's like to taste fame. And so far, it's working. Everyone is having a wonderful time. So this video today on my YouTube channel is my first live. The previous videos were all done on Facebook. However, through some sort of weird glitch that I don't understand, Facebook announced to me on Sunday that I wouldn't be allowed to do live videos there. And I sat still for a few minutes as I read that, and I thought, well, what do I do? By that time, I'd done 79 videos, and I wanted to keep going. And then one of the fans reached out and said, hello, YouTube channel. And I said, oh my goodness. Of course. And that's why we're here. And it's better quality video, and it's an easier access for me coming in. And hopefully, as more and more of you realize that it's here and it's on and it's happening, I will be seeing you. I will be seeing you on this location when you choose to click and check it out and see what Abby's up to in Abby World 2.0. So I'm going to be talking a lot about pivotry and motion, not to bore you to death, but because pivotry and pivotry in motion is a project now that I'm working on, and I'm interviewing people in the first stages for a series of books. Eventually, it's going to be an interview series, a reality show, where we talk about life and how we've hit walls and bounced back and found plan B and soldiered on. Because I think hearing from you, rather than just me going on, prattling on, is much more effective. I think what it gives us all is an opportunity to realize how much fun storytelling is. I think it's a wonderful chance for everyone to channel their inner Viking a little and discover what it's like to be a pioneer, to get in the boat and see what's out there beyond the fjord. I think it's a really exciting opportunity. And I also think that because of COVID and because of people trying to get their their land legs and their sea legs back, it's a distraction. It's an opportunity to feel seen, heard, and valued. Because a lot of us are struggling with that right now. A lot of us aren't sure whether we've still got what it takes to be all that. And pivotry in motion is my way of saying, yeah, you do. Watch this. And when I have enough material and the books are out, we're going to be able to say, okay, let's do the series. Let's find a way to make this happen. With or without restrictions, with or without lockdowns. Let's find a way to build this amazing tribe of storytellers. I have a name for it. I'll share it with you. Hope you like it. I'm calling it Story Me TV. Cool, huh? Story me. Tell me your story. Let me tell you my story. Okay, that's it for now. This was my first real try. And we'll see what people think. We'll see how people feel. I'll get your feedback. It's going to be a bit of a glitch to get enough of you over from Facebook to start watching here. But you know what? Vikings invented challenges. So on that note, I'm going to sign off today. Before I go, two things. Please like if you liked it. Please comment if you have something fun to say. Please subscribe. You'll get notifications in your email when I'm going to be live again. And tell your friends. That way we can all be in this together. Okay. For now, I'm planning to be back on Thursday at 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. I hope you'll join me. Until then, be good to you. You being here with me is everything. That's what it's all about. Remember to hug your loved ones. Thank you.